I would like to call upon stage Major General Vinod Bhanot sir, Veer Chakra Vishesh Sena Medal, who displayed gallantry, leadership and devotion to duty of high order while serving Indo-Pak War.
Members of the faculty of DTU, Major General Dogra, Major General Kuldeep, Brigadier Chaudhary, members of the NCC staff and students of the DTU. It gives me great pleasure to speak to you this evening about operations in 1971. I was commissioned into the 3rd Gorkha Rifles in 1964, February. We were 3 brothers. Elder brother, Brigadier Ashok Bhanot, was in 11 Gorkhas. He was in the Chicken Neck area, which is close to Jammu, projecting into Pakistan. Myself was in Kargil, and my younger brother, late Brigadier Pramod Bhanot, 5th Gorkhas, was in Bangladesh. He lost his leg while going for an attack with his battalion. My unit, 5th Battalion, the 3rd Gorkha Rifles, was located in Ladakh. We were making defenses at 15,000 feet on the Upshi-Manani road facing the Chinese side, that is eastern Ladakh. On 3rd December, Pakistan attacked our airfields and the war started. On 5th of December, I was called down from 15,000 feet and given the task first to hand over our operational task of my battalion was in a place called Chor Batla. Chor Batla is at 15,000 feet on the line of control with Pakistan in the Baltistan area. On 6th morning, I left along with my runner, a signal operator, and a Jonga vehicle to hand over the task to a Ladakh Scout Company. My battalion moved to Kargil on 6th December. Now I will talk about my battalion. The battalion arrived at Kargil on 7th morning. The second in command, now Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, at that time Major Shankar Prasad, requested the CO that the battalion should halt about 3 kilometers away from the Kargil plateau. Kargil plateau is a flat area which is down below. It is at about 10,000 feet. But the higher headquarters said that the enemy does not have any weapon by which it can reach us. So the battalion was brought by vehicles at about 10:30 in broad daylight and made to debus. Intelligence failure took place. The enemy, which was sitting on 13,620, 13,620 is right of the place which I am showing you is Hathi Mata here on top. Right of that, further down, is 13,620, that is 13,600 feet. 2nd 11 Gorkha Rifles had surrounded the top but had not captured it finally. A night prior to 7th December, the enemy quietly brought the 7.5-inch howitzer gun, dismantled it and brought it up. The gun managed to play havoc into the Kargil plateau. We lost 5 men killed, 5 wounded, number of vehicles destroyed, mortar bombs destroyed, Out of the 8 MMGs, we lost 5 MMGs. And there were about 5-10 more people who suffered casualties. It was a very demoralizing start for 5-3 GR to be brought in broad daylight, intelligence failure, and to start the war thus. However, the battalion recovered. I returned from Chor Batla after handing over to the Ladakh Scout Company on the 8th morning. There was pin drop silence when I met my commanding officer, who had a bit of a smile. Thank God you have come. And he told me this is what has happened. And while on the 8th, at about 8:30, suddenly there is firing which starts. Everybody wonders, again the enemy is shelling us. Everybody runs for helter-skelter for cover and trenches and crawls. But what has happened is that the Indian Army's 25-pounder regiment, 120 millimeter regiment, the 2nd 11 Gurkhas, 81 millimeter mortars, all of them opened up on 13/6/20. The pounding went on for almost about 1 hour, but the enemy had not yet surrendered. Suddenly, the firing stopped, and out of the blue, 2 Vampire jets of the Indian Air Force, they came from the Indian side, strapped 13/6/20 from one side, went onto the enemy side, turned around, and then again rocketed and fired at it. A gap of 2 minutes, 2 NAT aircraft of the Indian Air Force came, strapped from one side the enemy post, crossed onto the Pakistan side, turned around and again staffed it. 5 minutes later, the enemy put up the white flag and surrendered. Thus, 13/6/20, overlooking Kargil Plateau, was silenced on 8th December. My battalion, which had come from Ladakh, was then tasked to clear the enemy astride the Shingo River. That is the river going into Pakistan, left side and right side. We were to clear the posts on either side. 1-to-1 infantry brigade, which had 3 battalions, 7 guards, 18 Punjab, 2nd 11 GR, and 2 J&K militia, were unfortunately not able to achieve all tasks. Unfortunately, 7 guards suffered 50% frostbite casualties on night of 4th-5th December. Imagine a unit of 800 people, of which 600 are present, 300 catch frostbite in the feet and the hands, because unfortunately they were not putting on snow boots or woolen clothing, or snow clothing you can say. Therefore, 1 battalion was literally written off. As you are looking at this map, on the left-hand side is that feature on top known as Hathi Mata. It is known as Hathi Mata because the feature looks like the forehead of an elephant. That is also again at about 13,500 feet. On the right side are 3 posts of the enemy, post 16, 17 and 18. That was on the right-hand side of the river, and on the left-hand side were post 19, 20, Lakkad post, Pathar post, post 43, and then climbing behind it was the enemy post Hathi Mata, from which he was constantly shelling Kargil road, the road which comes from Srinagar, Kargil to Leh. That was being shelled by these 3.7 howitzers which the enemy had on Hathi Mata. My company crossed the Shingo River on a rickety bridge. That was a wooden bridge. We crossed it at night. Enemy shelled us a bit. Fortunately, no shell landed on the bridge. And you can just imagine whether we were scared or not. I was scared because the bridge was shaking from left to right, and there's a shell falling short of the bridge and across the bridge. Fortunately, my company, 80 men, crossed over at night. By about 1 in the morning, we were all on the safe side of the bank, and the enemy firing stopped. My company moved up to join the remainder battalion on the 9th of December. On the 9th of December, I was told to be ready to attack enemy post 16. Enemy post 16, 17, and 18 were the 3 posts. They were well fortified, very strong pillboxes, minefield in front, and each post had 2 Vickers machine gun. Enemy firing of mortars and howitzer was brought onto us from Hathi Mata. The attack was to go in at about 8 o'clock in the night. We waited for 1 hour. Hold on, hold on. Then at 10 o'clock we were told, stand down. The attack will not go in tonight. Next morning, that is the 10th December, suddenly at about 8:30 in the morning, my commanding officer calls me and he says, Vinod, get your company ready for the attack on post 16. I could not say anything except think that my CO has gone crazy, asking me to attack a post in front of which there are minefields, barbed wire, machine gun. But fortunately, the unit which had been holding our own post, 2nd 11 GR, they said there is a goat track which outskirts this 3 posts from the right-hand side. You go along that. Now, in between the shelling, when there was a pause, my company kept left out of the trenches, and we ran single file along the goat track, came to the right-hand side or the flank of the enemy post 16 and charged. The Gurkhas took out their kukris and the enemy was completely taken by surprise. He left his wounded and dead and ran to post 17. By about 11 o'clock, my attack was over and I was told to hold on. The second company, that is Charlie Company, which was to go about 1 hour later, was held up for 4 hours because of intense shelling from Hathi Mata. They came at about 3:30 in the afternoon as against about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. At 3:30, they passed through my company and attacked post 17. 17 was captured, and 18, the enemy finally ran away. Therefore, whole side, eastern side of the post, enemy posts were captured on the Shingo River. These posts, incidentally, were held by the Karakoram scouts. They were young chaps, hardy chaps, and locals of Baltistan. In fact, when we saw those chaps who had died, they had just collected their salary. The odd chap whom we captured, then he later on told what went wrong. Now this is what has happened. We have captured the eastern side. The western side has still not been captured. Bravo Company of 53GR was crossed over from one of the bridges, and on the night of 12th, 13th December, from an unexpected approach again from the top, they attacked enemy post 19, 20, Lakkad post. And then one company of 18 Punjab behind them captured the post 43. Therefore, all the posts down below Hatimata, which are there, were captured. However, Hatimata had still not been captured and defied capture for last 3 days. My company, which was on the right side of the Shingo River, was ordered to move to the left side, that is the western side, and reach Bravo Company of 53GR in the area of Lakkad Post, Pathar Post. On 16th morning, I was told that get ready to attack Hatimata, as the ceasefire is about to come by the 17th of December. A clandestine recce was carried out by a brave young officer of 53GR, Colonel Mane, at that time Captain Mane, who recceed a route which went from the rear to the post, enemy post. And he said that the enemy is in the process of withdrawing from down below. However, who all are left on top, we cannot say. Therefore, with his guidance, at about 2000 hours, that is about 8 o'clock in the evening, when it was dark, we started climbing up to approach Hatimata at 13,500. En route, there was the company headquarters where we had a small action. I lost one NCO there who got a bullet in the forehead. We captured that and moved on. And own fire. Now, normally your own fire comes from behind you, but in this case, the own fire had to be brought towards our own side because we could not see how far away the enemy post is still there. It was pitch dark. It took us time by about 5 o'clock in the morning to reach close to Hatimata. 5 o'clock in the morning. We started at 8 in the evening and we reached there at 5. You can just imagine how difficult and tough the climb was along a narrow track. However, we formed up and attacked the enemy, being taken by surprise that we could never come by that route, left his dead and ran away. By 8:30 to about 11 o'clock, the complete feature of Hatimata, which was having 5 posts, was finally cleared and captured. The enemy left behind his 37mm mortars, 81mm mortars, large number of rifles. He had winter skiing equipment also, lot of rations, etc. He left and ran away and occupied another feature beyond that. At about 11 o'clock, I sent the signal to my commanding officer that Hatimata has finally been captured. And when I stood on top of Hatimata, I could see the Kargil plateau, vehicles standing there, flag flying and so on. So finally, the army commander in his word said that had 53GR not captured Hatimata, the operations in Kargil would have failed. So this, I want to tell you, shows the determination of the men whom we led, the Gorkha boys. Not one of them faltered. He was always cheerful, ready to endure the hardship, and the bitter cold, he managed to endure it. Rations were few. We lived on shakar paras initially till we could replenish our supplies. Every casualty that took place, I had to detail 4 men to carry those casualties down. So this was the problem in Kargil. That is all I want to say about these operations. My other experience is basically counterinsurgency. I was in Assam during the Op Bajrang, Op Rhino Alpha period for about 2 years. Then I was last in Doda. Doda is about 300 kilometers between the Pir Panjal and the Udhampur. The Chenab River flows down below. The height goes up to 15,000 feet. Insurgency was at its peak, and elections for the assembly and parliamentary constituencies were to be held there. Those were held very peacefully by the troops I had, and for that I was awarded the VSM. That is all I want to tell you. Thank you.